some news reports suggest that the White House was caught off guard by ISIS advance in northern Iraq with 50-plus surveillance flights over Iraq every day and assessors on the ground in Erbil. Why wasn't more advance notice provided?
Yeah, we've been very clear about the threat posed by ISIL, and we've been very consistent about that threat in the region and in Iraq.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Joining us now, Peter Brookes, Senior Fellow of National Security Affairs at the Heritage Foundation, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense. Hello, Peter.
Hey.
Great to talk to you as always, sir. How do they explain? You know, I don't know where to go first with you here, because first the president over the weekend, all of a sudden, hey, he didn't end the war. He didn't bring the troops home. That was the previous administration. Yet I thought that's what he was all about. He ended 2 wars and he brought the troops home. Then, hey, we were caught by surprise. We didn't know about this. I saw it on CNN like everybody else, this ISIS thing, when of course they knew way in advance.
Well, I mean, as we say in Washington here, politics is the art of shifting blame, right? So obviously the president and his team are involved in some spinning and some dissembling and other things there that for those who may not follow this issue very closely, they might be fooled by it, and that's really unfortunate. I mean, I think the administration has to be straightforward with the American people on this very, very important and threatening national security challenge.
I mean, I think you and I talked since this ISIS thing, and I remember when ISIS, when the Iraqi government was begging for airstrikes while ISIS was basically assembling and getting ready to do what they have been doing for the past several months, and we did nothing.
Well, Steve, it goes back further than that.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we've been talking about this a long time, not just this current crisis.
Right.
I mean, ISIS has been in Iraq for a long time. They had the whole western part of the country, Anbar province. I mean, I had written about this. You and I had talked about it. Others, you know, even on Capitol Hill. I mean, people have been talking about this for a long time. But you remember the president, I guess it was earlier this year, said, ISIS, that's the junior varsity.
Right.
And
you
so
put on a Kobe shirt on the junior varsity. It doesn't
I know.
make him varsity.
How can I mean? I just and of course, unfortunately, he was wrong. ISIS is the varsity, and they're playing in the pros of the terrorist league, and they're making they're just doing terrible things. Al Qaeda has sworn them off; they're so bad. And as you hear people talk about, I did a congressional testimony 2 weeks ago on the House Homeland Security Committee before Peter King and his subcommittee, and all of us agreed. All the people that were the witnesses there agreed that ISIS is a threat to the United States. I mean, you heard what they said. They said they will hang an Al-Qaeda flag in the White House.
Yep.
Now, I think that's going to happen. Probably not. But the fact is that's what they're thinking, and what happens between their ambitions and our reality. So this is really a problem.
I mean, that's a declaration of war. I know they're not a nation state, but that's a declaration of war.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we've heard for a long time, and you and I have talked about it, and others have talked about it, the fact that they have terrorist training camps in Syria that are meant to train foreign fighters to go home and undertake acts of terror against their native country.
Like here.
Exactly. They believe, and this is just an unclassified figure that people are kicking about, but there's more than 100 Americans. We've already had one American suicide bomber in Syria.
Yep.
And there are maybe a couple of thousand Europeans with passports that are being trained as well, plus other countries. I mean, there are Australians in Syria there. And once again, this really goes back to the lack of dealing with the issue of Syria, because that's where this all started.
Right.
But of course, remember, the Arab Spring was going to be this releasing of liberal forces and democracy and all this sort of stuff.
Spelled Muslim Brotherhood.
And this is I mean, we got to remember that Syria was part of the Arab Spring, and
Yep.
the president talked about how Assad's days were numbered. I mean, I'm not, I don't know. I mean, you have to make judgments, but I'm very concerned about the number of judgments that this administration has made about future national security.
Well, let me
threats.
give you another one. Of course, when he was running this goes to your piece on how this is a critical time for deterring Putin. I seem to recall the presidential campaign when Mitt Romney said that Russia is our biggest geopolitical foe, and Obama mocked him and said the 80s called, they want your foreign policy back, and hey, tell Vladimir I'll be more flexible after the election.
And
the
get
reset
rid of missile
button.
defense. I mean,
missile defense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is their Russia policy has gone from reset to regret. and they're trying. They're probably happy when this sort of thing isn't in the news because people see that. I mean, this was their belief. This was their policy. This is what they thought they could do, and it's been a total failure. In fact, I think U.S.-Russian relations are. I don't even know if they were this bad during the Cold War. I mean, that's how bad they've gotten. So I have a lot of questions about this administration's, foreign policy, as many others, as you see from the foreign policy, the polls that talk about, do they believe, that the approval ratings for foreign policy, I think, is in the 30% range.
It's awful.
Right?
It is awful, and that's encouraging that the American public does realize
that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But what about Hillary now and this? I can't say the word on TV, but it starts with a P. War. P. blank blank ing war going on between Hillary and Obama on the Syrian policy, which Hillary now claims led to this situation with ISIS, which of course is true in a sense. And Obama, now they're firing back and saying baloney, or worse, Hillary was on board with this from the beginning. And now there are senators, reports that in a meeting with senators or high-level Republican and Democrats before he left for vacation, the president used another word with a B, and ends at a T, when confronted on the Syrian policy and how it all led to this. He said that was a bunch of blank, blank.
Well, I guess we got a he said, she said sort of thing going on here, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that at the end of the day, we're failing in that part of the world. We're failing in Syria. We've been failing for 3 years there. We're failing in Iraq.
At a T, when confronted on the Syrian policy and how it all led to this, he said that was a bunch of blank, blank.
Well, I guess we got a he said, she said sort of thing going on here, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that at the end of the day, we're failing in that part of the world. We're failing in Syria. We've been failing for 3 years there. We're failing in Iraq
And Russia.
Well, Russia too. I mean, there's so many other things. I mean, China. I mean, we could go on and on.
Yeah.
I mean, Al Qaeda. We're not even talking about. Just a few weeks ago, Steve, I think you and I may have even talked about it. The cell phone plot.
Yep.
I mean, it didn't happen, so people forgot about it. But there was a belief that Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, the master bomb maker down there, al-Asiri, he was working with operatives of ISIS or another Al Qaeda affiliate up there. It could have been al-Nusra, to put a bomb in a cell phone or in a computer on a plane bound to the United States from Europe. Now, they may have stopped that, but the threat, that's what they were talking about. We always forget about things that don't happen.
I know, Peter. We could go on for the next 2 hours and scare ourselves even more, but it's the truth. Peter, I thank you very much, sir, as always, for your time. Peter Brookes, ladies and gentlemen, Senior Fellow of National Security at the Heritage Foundation. And we'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show, but first, your Newsmax Now update.